Righto, here we go, away in racing now. Thomas Boniface from pole position, followed by Reece Hendl-Cox, Chris Symon, Billy Fraser, Ronan Murphy, Liam Foster, Amy Smith, Kyan Davey. Hello guys, can we lose the music? Exciting stuff here, the High Q Components Formula First. And they're on track at the moment, doing a great job. Up and over the top of the hill to finish the opening lap. And it's all go in this opening race of the weekend for the High Q Components Formula First. And Sheridan Bonner, it's it's going to be a fantastic part of the championship, isn't it, here? Because look at that, we've got green lights, we've got yellow lights, and Liam Foster, the young lad out of Papatoetoe in the LV, he's got the purple lights as the fastest on track at the moment.
Yeah, afternoon, Clint. This is going to be real interesting going into the sort of second half business part of the season where Liam Foster's just run wide coming out of the turn 3 there. And we've got Chris Symon and Reece Hendl-Cox fighting for this championship. 76 points in it, which is the total wins you can get for total points you can get for a win in the series. And here we are having them duke it out at the front of the pack.
Yeah, so after a dramatic round with the mighty Manfield round with the New Zealand Grand Prix, it was all about Reece Hendl-Cox, the championship leader out of Edgecombe. But after that, there was another round back at Manfield, and that's when he had a DNF, and Chris Symon was able to come back into contention again.
Yeah, we joined the IRC guys two weeks ago, and it was pretty status quo for the first two, and then we had a wet race on the Sunday, and it was Reece Hendl-Cox that had electrical gremlins, and it was Chris Symon who won that race by a massive 9 seconds.
And here they are, 19 and 28, side by side, the two championship protagonists, and they're right out in front of this field. Talking about a wet race, we've had wet qualifying, we've had puddles, we've had people slipping and sliding, and now we're suddenly back onto a dry race, as predicted, but a little bit nervous for the drivers and the teams.
Yeah, we had, yesterday was even worse. We had dry, then we had basically a complete flood in the afternoon. Then we've had greasy this morning, and now we're back to being bone dry and quite nice and warm. So bit of a head scratcher for all the teams and drivers, but they're showing like they're doing a pretty good pace out there at a 21 sort of 21.5 is about the race pace, so they're trucking along quite nicely actually.
But your tyres don't change, do they?
No, we talk about wets and dries down the paddock, but the tyres are the same, just different tread depth. Obviously, just to get a feel of the tread moving around. If you've got a higher depth, if you want to go a little bit faster and have a nicer feel for the car, we put some lower tread depth tyres on.
So you would do that for the wets?
Yeah, so we put we call them wets, but they're essentially the same, exact same tyre, just different tread depth.
So not actually like a slick or a wet?
No, we don't run slicks. We run just your road tyre you can buy off the shelf.
Why is that?
It's just another control part of the class. They don't provide anything, so there's nothing to be gained or lost from them. So they don't, and they last a season, which is really good on the old budget. So it makes it really, this class, to be a great starting place for motor racing.
And as you can see, why lead chopping and changing. Chris Symon now 28. He's just done the fastest lap. He's done a 1:20.4. In fact, Liam Foster 14.
Fraser.
Billy Fraser goes round. Liam Foster in 48 had just done a 1:20.1.
Don't get bogged down.
And Billy Fraser 14 getting back onto the track after overcooking it going into the braking at turn 2.
He just tried to sneak up the inside of Boniface and they touched wheels and Fraser went around. So bit of a racing incident really there, but as we look there on the pictures from Volt TV, it's Chris Symon running wide out of the second hairpin, out of the Porsche hairpin, and Hendl-Cox will be down the outside of him just like that.
So the man from Palmerston North, Chris Symon, 28, in the brightly coloured fluoro car. That's the Harpoon, and the Saturn right behind him from Edgecombe. And that's in that sort of bronze type sort of car with a bit of green on the back. That's Reece Hendl-Cox. Here's the slipstream. Here's the draft. Up along that kink onto the straight, now onto the main straight. They pull out side by side. Cross the start-finish line. 5 to go. 4 to go now. And Hendl-Cox, 19, smoothly, calmly regains the lead.
There's great racing from these guys out in front. They are very fierce competitors in this class, but Thomas Boniface.
Thomas Boniface, the young rookie, he's been the quickest. He started on pole. He wasn't scratching his head then, he was scratching his helmet like his head.
I would say he's a bit frustrated there. It looks like a mechanical gremlin. Just go back to these guys out in front. They're really fierce competitors, but they show a great lot of respect for each other, which everyone does in this class, and provides some great racing without any damage or biffos afterwards.
Well, Chris Symon is a teacher. Reece Hendl-Cox will be the pupil, I would suppose, wouldn't it?
Yep.
No?
Yeah, Chris will tell me that he's the assistant principal, but we still call him the teacher.
He might be on strike. He might be going for more pay. Billy Fraser's made a good comeback after his come-in spinner.
Yeah, he'll be a bit upset with that, so he'll be charging through. He's just made a good pass on Nathan Sudiono.
Yeah. The Indonesian racer out of Albany, and there's
looks like
34 Ron Carter. And behind them, that Bob Dillo, 63?
Yeah, that's Bob Dillo there.
Some of the older guys in the field.
Yeah, so Ron Carter and Bob Dillo.
2 leaders side by side, neck and neck. Symon regains the lead as they keep swapping. This will carry on lap after lap. One of the great reasons why people love this class.
We have to plug those.
12.
Kyan Davey, he's had another mechanical problem. Looks like it's the race for it. We have to plug those old guys. Ron Carter, he's very senior. I'll be polite to him, and same with Bob Dillo. And they're out there duking it out with these young fellas, and they do show a great lot of respect towards the young guys as the young guys do back to them.
So there's still 2 rounds to go in the championship after this round. There'll be back-to-back rounds in Taupo, March 23, 24, and then the final round of the Speedworks Motorsport Championship, 13 and 14 of April, back at Bruce McLaren Motorsport Park. But right here, right now, they don't give a monkey. They are just going for it lap after lap and trading places, first and second. Chris Symon, Reece Hendl-Cox. Fraser's got some speed in number 14, starting to work his way away from that pack after his early spin. Ronan Murphy, 91, he's up there in that battle as well.
Yeah, Ronan Murphy will be sort of seeing Thomas Boniface's car on the side there and going, "Oh, the old rookie of the year will close up a little bit." He only had 37 points behind him.
Here they come across the start-finish line, and as we expected, Reece Hendl-Cox regains that lead. And then Chris Symon now is all about positioning, ready to pounce, slides it, and they glide it onto the ripples. He's going to have a look down the inside and just keep the pressure on here. This is all about racing in the sort of the wing mirror, not the rear view mirror.
I have to say, these two out in front of absolutely spread-eagled the field. There are 2 seconds in front of Foster, then a couple of seconds in front of Murphy and Smith, and then there's a 16-second gap back to Billy Fraser.
Oh, Reece Hendl-Cox has run wide coming out of the hairpin, and Chris Symon has pounced, and now they're 2 by 2 down into the Porsche Dipper.
It's quite amazing, these two fighting it out, but they're actually keeping a quick pace, sort of in the mid-120s, even though Liam Foster's actually a little bit faster than them, so he's gaining. He's sitting there in third with a watching brief, but just not quite close enough to pounce.
So Reece Hendl-Cox currently leads the championship. He's currently leading the race. Chris Symon currently second in the championship. He's currently second in the race. And here they go. There'll be 1 lap to go after this.
Fantastic racing down the back here. Ron Carter and Nathan Sudiono, as they're still side by side at the front. Chris Symon wants to lead it out.
Chris Symon has taken that lead. Did Reece Hendl-Cox button off then let him go?
I think there might be a bit of cat and mouse here. Reece might possibly follow him for this lap.
And then try and get the drive and do the slipstream coming out of the last corner.
And try and do it up in front of us here on the line. So you get ready for a good finish between the top 2.
Sometimes when you play cat and mouse games, they can backfire on you, though. That's the only thing.
It'll be very much a risk versus reward effort here. It'll either be a win for Reece, or it'll be a win for Chris, or it could be nothing for both of them. But we don't really want to see that. I want to see a good finish.
Look
over the
how
line
he's
here.
positioning himself. He's right up behind him. So it's Chris Symon from Palmerston North, Reece Hendl-Cox from Edgecombe. They're coming down to the short straight. See what number 19 does. It's all about slipstreaming and drafting in this class. He is looking, he is lurking, he is waiting to pounce, but it's all about the drive out of this corner. Who runs wide? Who gets the drive, the mid-corner speed? Is he close enough to get the slipstream? And will they come up and over the top of the hill? Is he going to pull out? Here he goes. This is it. Down to the checkered flag. Around the kink onto the main straight. It's a photo finish and it's worked.
How about that? Bit of cat and mouse, and Reece Hendl-Cox comes out on top.
Hendl-Cox, smart driving.
That was brilliant stuff there from Reece Hendl-Cox. We're going to have a three pack coming over the line as well down the back. But yeah, Reece Hendl-Cox really nutted that out, knew that he could get it. And
14 crosses the line. Billy Fraser. There they are, 1, 2, 3. Big finish. And Ronan Murphy getting up for 5th.
yeah, no, he's done a really solid job there. And
Number 91.
if we sort of look at Rona Murphy and Thomas Boniface going for the Rookie of the Year championship, which is a very coveted title in Formula First, plenty of big names on that. Thomas with a DNF and Ronan with a 5th place finish. That'll put him back in front by about 15 points.
But also look at the speed of Ronan there, 121.5, 122 consistency, top 5 finish.
Yep.
Coming on.
Dennis will be very happy to see that. We've been sort of working our way towards getting some better finishes out of Ronan, and Dennis Martin will be very pleased to see that.
So checkered flag for the high-Q components, Formula First. Once again, a great display of real good racing. Racing with room, racing with respect, side by side, wheel to wheel action. And Reece Hendl-Cox, young racer out of Edgecombe in that Saturn, currently leads the series, and he showed us why with a smart move, because he looked like he had buttoned off coming into that last lap. He'd let Chris Symon take the lead, and he looked like he was too unnormally slow.
Yeah, very much thought about that. Thought, no, I don't really want to be in front of Chris leading up the straight.
It's one of those great ironies we sometimes talk about in this particular class. Sometimes it doesn't pay to actually be the leader on the last lap.
Absolutely, the leader sometimes they'll drag them up the straight here and win, but then sometimes it'll work the other way where the draft will work and they'll get a good run onto the straight and blast on past. I mean, that was all around the outside, so he's got to cover a much bigger distance than Chris and still managed to snatch the win by about a car length.